Welcome back to the C Block of Weed Talk News. I'm Alaina Pinto. The state of Massachusetts, like the state of New York, are now dealing with state legislatures overlooking their regulatory actions. New York has seen multiple lawsuits about their awarding of licenses, and their leadership has been replaced by interim bureaucrats appointed by Governor Kathy Hochul. Their glut of illicit storefronts in the city is slowly being eliminated, and another 110 operations have been shut down. That still leaves over 1,000 open, but as the governor proclaimed this week, legal sales were up by 27% during the time of the new enforcement rules. Well, now we turn to Massachusetts, where the state legislator is being called in to take over, or at least be more directly involved. And PCM founder Jimmy Young has more in his Bay State report.
I'm PCM Founder Jimmy Young, and this is the Bay State Report. You think it's easy to be a state regulator for the new cannabis industry? It's not. Political appointees tasked with either writing new regulations or creating new processes is not a glamour job. In fact, when you add in the human factor, you have the personality and philosophical conflicts that have been the one constant here in Massachusetts, with the state treasurer, Deborah Goldberg, and Commissioner Shannon O'Brien squaring off in one quarter. Resignations and threats of receivership by the State House has the CCC just trying to hold it together on a day-to-day basis. Their executive director, Sean Collins, resigned over the past 6 months, and a supposed national search for his replacement is underway. In the meantime, the count is now 6 years without one social cannabis club that was supposed to be a signature clause in the new world of adult use cannabis being open. One element of that is that the CCC has been able to positively influence is the ridiculous restrictions in host community agreements that are paramount before anyone can even apply for a license. However, if a city or a town sets up its rules to keep dispensaries away from commercial zones, schools, or other competing dispensaries, it is an obstacle that many potential entrepreneurs find extremely frustrating, if not impossible, to open. Once again, those restrictions of trade are ending up in court, with potential operators suing their city or towns on restraint of trade. It's happening again in Malden. 2 dispensaries of the over 300 in the state are open there, but commercial zoning and unfair restrictions limit anyone else from opening a shop. For 2 years, Benevolent Botanicals has been in a civil suit against Malden, and now they're being joined by another company, Driss. Both claim unfair business practices by their town, who are hiding behind the legalese of their charters while restricting small businesses from opening in their jurisdiction. On top of that now, the CCC is being threatened to be placed into receivership by the state. Yes, that's the same group of officials who created this mess in the first place. I guess, however, it could be worse. Could be New York, where there are still hundreds of illegal, unlicensed dispensaries that are open in the city. And now, on those streets, an ugly assault by the publishers of a popular cannabis magazine called Honeysuckle, and it is making headlines and viral videos. This industry has to be on its best behavior at all times because we are all under a microscope. That's this week's Bay State Report. This week, I am PCM founder Jimmy Young, and now Jill Goldsberry has more on what is going on in this ugly assault in her cannabis report.
Hi, welcome to the New Jersey Report. I'm Jill Goldsberry, and this week in news, we have some disturbing news that came out recently about the cannabis publication Honeysuckle magazine that was supposedly an ally to the BIPOC community, an ally to women and social justice stories. Honeysuckle magazine founders Ronit Pinto and Sam Long were seen recently in an altercation I believe it was in New York City, in a social media video plummeting, choking, and kicking a female Palestinian protester on the ground. It was reported on Wake Up Singapore, an alternative news source. The video has been seen on Reddit. It was actually posted on Reddit recently, and it's a video from Instagram. Onlookers were frightened to even jump in and help the innocent woman that was being attacked by Ronit Pinto and Sam Long. The aftermath of this has led to some serious backlash for the publication. We understand that Cannabisiac, a minority woman-owned corporation, has removed Ronit Pinto from their advisory board and their most recent events. You can look at the disturbing video here.
I have it all on recording. Why are you? Why are you?
And we understand that Cannabisiac has released a statement about this situation, and I will read a little bit of it to you. It says, due to recent events, Cannabisiac has removed Ronit Pinto, founder of Honeysuckle magazine, from their lineup of speakers for the Get in the Biz Roadshow event being held in Brooklyn, and they have removed her as an advisory board member, effective immediately. And we will keep you posted on the story as we investigate a little further to find out exactly what happened and why it happened. In other news, we took our reporting on the road on a higher note to the official Higher Women's Conference, Women of Color Conference, in Philadelphia this past weekend, just off the heels of Juneteenth in Philadelphia. The event was held at the Billy Penn Studios in downtown Philly. It was filled with networking, women sharing, growing, love. It was all love in the conference. It featured competition panels, workshops, and even a wellness pavilion. Yours truly was even invited to the media panel with some other notables in the business from Essence Magazine. Canna Curious as well was there representing, and we were able to connect with some New Jersey brands that made the trip out there, namely Butter Cake and Precious Canico. We saw Black Buddha, Roz McCarthy as well, and it was a really, really incredible event. I advise anyone that is interested in attending next year, if you're a woman, a minority woman in the business, it's definitely a great place to be. So we're looking forward to next year's event, and we'll see you there. I'm Jill Goldsberry with the New Jersey Report, and thanks for watching.
Lavana Bassow is off this week, but we have some California news to share. If you happen to be making plans to attend the California State Fair this summer, you will be allowed to consume cannabis. Legal dispensaries will be allowed to display and sell at the fair. The fair takes place in 17 days, starting July 12th in Sacramento. This is the 170th California State Fair, but the first that will have joint rolling competitions and other pro-cannabis events. You have to figure that Canada, though, is already allowing this industry to have a presence at their country's summer fairs, but we know Debi Facey will be there too. So she's our Canadian correspondent, and here's her report and an update on the cannabis stock trade with Doug Miller.
This is Debi Facey with your Canadian Strain of the Week. So our top 3 stories this week, what we have is Aurora Cannabis making their normal 2 steps forward with 1 step back. So they are making their gains, trying to stay afloat, but at the same time, with their gains, they are adding to their debts. And that is something that we tend to always have to kind of, sad to say, realize when it comes to Aurora Cannabis. They are trying, but unfortunately, there will always be setbacks with them. Next, what we have is the government wanting to allow LPs now to use see-through packaging, which is not only going to make it a little more cost effective due to the fact that it's not going to have to be made out of a plastic or some sort of material hiding the goods, but it's also going to make it easier for a lot of the consumers to see exactly what's inside of the container. This is also something that they are also looking at as a deterrent, because the fact that now people will be able to see it, they don't want to haul too much into the advertising. So this is something that we hope to see and learn more about, and I'll definitely let you guys in more. And last but not least, we have been seeing an increase when it comes to women in utilizing cannabis that are pregnant. This is something that we have not necessarily been able to survey to the point where we have a huge amount of numbers or a huge amount of reasons, but this is something that Health Canada has noticed a rise in and are hopefully going to be able to find out a little bit more information as to why and how we could kind of not stop, but aid most of these women when it does come to consuming cannabis and the harms that it could actually produce when it comes to their child. This is Debi Facey with your Canadian Shade of the Week. Peace.
I'm Doug Miller from High on Wall Street with this week's cannabis stock report for Weed Talk News. The cannabis sector's setting up to do something big. And how do I know that? Well, when I want to get an idea of what's going on in any sector or industry, the best way to know is to look at the ETFs, which are the exchange traded funds. So let's take a look at MSOS, Advisor Shares, Pure US Cannabis ETF. It is trading around $6.99, and it took a nice dip into the bottom the last few days. I'm watching to see if it wants to dip into the basement or take a bounce off that bottom. It's setting up the run just like the rest of the ETFs in the cannabis sector. They all have the exact same chart pattern as MSOS, and they're setting up for some kind of news in the next few weeks. And that's this week's Cannabis Stock Report. Reporting for Weed Talk News, I'm Doug Miller.
There's another research survey out of Colorado on youth cannabis use that shows more decline since legalization in that state began over a decade ago. The biannual Healthy Kids Colorado survey reports that high school use of cannabis over the past 30 days was down to 12.8% in 2023, which is down from 13.3% reported in 2021. Well, since 2013, when legalization began, use by teens in high school is down 7 percentage points. So that argument by many prohibitionists who ask, what about the kids? Well, now you can point to Colorado and say, as legalization becomes more of the norm, use of cannabis by teens could go down. At least it did in Colorado. Now that Michigan, though, has passed California as the state that sells the most cannabis products, you have to wonder, what is the magic of that state's adult use program? Well, that's why we have the Michigan Weedster's own Amie Carter, who reports this time from the shores of Elizabeth Lake in Waterford, Michigan. Here she is.
I'm Amie Carter with Michigan Weedsters, reporting from the Great Lakes State for this week's Weed Talk News. Baker College, a private college in Oakland County, has partnered with the House of Dank to offer cannabis-related internships in Metro Detroit. This collaboration aims to establish a pipeline of talent for the cannabis industry while providing students with comprehensive education and training. The college is introducing 3 specialized cannabis certificates to equip students with the job skills needed for a career in the marijuana industry. Each online course takes 9 weeks to complete. Native Michigan Remedies, an established Niles-based cannabis company, celebrated the grand opening of its new dispensary. The opening came after over 5 years of growing and cultivating marijuana. As a Class A microbusiness licensee in Michigan, Native Michigan Remedies is now authorized to grow up to 300 cannabis plants, purchase mature plants from other licensed growers, and utilize an outside processor. Congratulations to Native Michigan Remedies on this exciting new chapter. I'm Amie Carter with Michigan Weedsters for this week's Weed Talk News.
We have a brand new correspondent this week from the Midwest. Well, actually, he's from California, but his DJing skills take him all over the world. He's the Shakeman, Kevin Shakir, and he will be reporting from his new state of Arkansas. Here's Kevin.
I'm Kevin Shakir, aka the Shakeman, cannabis ambassador, advocate, and now correspondent right here at Weed Talk News, and this is the Arkansas Cannabis Report. Can you say expansion? We've got an abundance of cannabis patients that can't get enough cannabis. We've been voting for the right for adult consumption. Last year, the vote got turned down. This year, we've got even more signatures. We think that it can pass. We will find out the results as this is going to be put on the ballots for this year, 2024. In other news, we've seen the first revoking of dispensary license by Green Springs Medical in Hot Springs, Arkansas. They were selling expired products, 1,800 pieces of expired product. They tried to ask the judge for temporary license. The judge has told them, no bueno. We can't do that at this time. So we're going to be following this story because we know that it's made the national news and we want to see what happens. This has been Kevin Shakir, aka the Shakeman. If you need some DJing in your town, I'm your man for 420 events and also consumption lounges. I love to travel and spread the 420 sounds all around the nation. For Weed Talk News, Kevin Shakir. Now back to Alaina.
And finally, two stories to end this week's news show. First, in Europe, the soccer championship that is being held in Germany shared a request from the police in that newly legalized country. Please don't drink too much alcohol. And they would prefer that you fire up some weed instead of beer. Specifically, they asked a rowdy bunch of English supporters nicknamed the Hooligans if they could just chill out on cannabis rather than the violent state that alcohol provides. And another sign that the times are changing when it comes to the acceptance of weed in society. There is an independent minor league baseball team, on the other hand, in Oregon that is making a little story, a history. The Portland Pickles. I love that name. Their logo is great too. The Portland Pickles play in the West Coast League, and they are the first professional league to offer THC infused beverages available for sale at the stadium. They have partnered with Ballard, Washington-based Cycling Frog to offer these types of beverages at games. I love that. And that'll do it for this week's Weed Talk News. Like most people this time of year, we'll be going on vacation for a few weeks, okay? But we will be back during the week of July 15th. And if anything breaks between now and then, you know PCM founder Jimmy Young will have that for you because he never goes on vacation. Remember, it's a whole new world of weed out there. Use it responsibly. Have a happy and safe 4th of July. I'm Alaina Pinto. We will see you soon.